Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another issue of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we discuss comic books, movies, TV shows, beer, most importantly of all. So, if you have found us, fantastic. If you, well, of course, if you found us, you've already know where to look. But if you actually stumbled upon us and don't know where to look, just search Hops News because we have new episodes weekly, and they are always a good time. So tonight we are talking in honor of WrestleMania week, brothers.
Woo!
Talking
Brothers.
fantastic
Woo!
wrestlers who are movie stars, and there's a lot of them that you may not even think about. So, of course, we brought in our resident expert on the matter, Tim Showtime, brother. He's joining us tonight.
Come on, beach ball, Hoppy.
Oh,
What are you doing? There you go. Gotta show us your
Have
beach
you
ball.
seen
Right?
my beach ball?
Have you seen my beach ball? It's about this big.
big.
If you're watching on YouTube, we have Hoppy flexing. We got Showtime flexing. I am Mash.
Did you hear about the
course.
time I almost got arrested for bringing these guns?
Guys, listen.
We're off the rails already.
Do you guys know where the closest veterinarian is? Because these pythons are sick.
Oh,
I have not heard that one. That's a new one.
That's a good one.
We
I'm
got
enjoying.
we got the dad jokes. We got the biceps. Sun's out,
Right.
guns out. WrestleMania is this week. I, of course, am Mash, as always, the resident goofball. And with me is Lauren, aka the Hoppy Mommy. Lauren, how goes it tonight? How are those guns
goes it
doing? You got a
good.
license to carry?
No,
Oh, it's
that's why I got
Florida. It's
arrested.
open carry law, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it?
I don't know. I have no idea. Anyways,
She can't put her hands in her pockets because she will be concealing deadly weapons. So
yes,
that's why.
yes,
Oh.
absolutely. And if you're on YouTube, she's got guns. Like they're solid, like magnums, like bang bang, baby. And of course, like I mentioned a
Where's
few
the
times,
beach? Is it
that way.
That way.
We have Tim, aka Showtime, with us tonight. Tim, what's up, brother?
Woo! What is going on? I am so happy to be here. I can't wait to get into what we're talking about, and this is going to be awesome. So thanks for having me.
Ooh, it's gonna be a good time, man. I needed somebody to help me culture up Lauren on the wrestling world because I'm a wrestling fan. I have been a wrestling fan my whole life. Tim is also a major wrestling fan. And before we kind of get to his, humble brag, of course.
Ooh, okay.
Let's go around the room. What are we drinking tonight? So, Lauren, we'll start with you. What are you drinking?
So I am drinking a beer from Voodoo Brewing in
Ooh.
Pennsylvania. It's called I'm a Loner, Dottie, a Rebel. And I picked this beer because I have no wrestling beers, but it has robots on it. And I read the whole Compendium 1 of Invincible this week. So I'm jumping ahead a little. And there's a main
Has
character.
nothing to do
and-
with wrestling, but you tried.
Right.
It's okay.
I said it has nothing to do with wrestling.
I
But
read
it's
this
a
comic
robot.
book that has nothing to do with wrestling, but there's fighting. So
It's so nice being a part of this tension live. Normally I watch the tension on YouTube, but now I'm part of it live. It's more fun.
But the comic book, and those of you who have or watched Invincible on Amazon Prime this week, one of the main characters is called Robot, and he is voiced by Zachary Quito? What is it? The Vulcan dude.
Quinto. His
Spock.
name is Zachary
Yes.
Quinto.
Zachary
Yes.
Quinto. So he voices Robot. So I picked a beer that has robots on it because I read a lot of Invincible this week. And if you like the show, you'll love the comic. I highly recommend reading it and trying to keep ahead of the show. It's awesome.
I'm waiting to get my second trade in from my comic book store, Captain Comics. Thanks for all you do for my
Yes.
mental health.
Shout out to Epic. But yeah, this is a nice double IPA at 8.9%.
Excellent.
Very, very good. So that's nice.
Well, that's great. Awesome. Proud. Thank you for joining us tonight. Really glad
Thank
to
you for
have
having me.
Tim,
Is it my turn?
showtime,
Is it my
showtime,
turn?
baby? What you
Okay, well,
drinking over there?
Well, I didn't have any beer in the house. I only had bourbon, so I had to run out to Publix real quick because this is kind of last minute.
Oh, dude, I
behind
miss
the scenes.
Publix.
Oh, Publix is the best. But I wanted to support locals since I'm in the Tampa Bay area, and Three Daughters Brewing is in South St. Pete. And since I'm a fan of beaches and blondes and ales, I went with the Beach Blonde Ale. Me and Lauren basically have spent most of our time at the beach and drinking beer. And most of that time she was blonde, I think, back in the day. So
Lauren you were
too.
blonde.
so I was trying
I
to be, and I thought we had gone here when she was in St. Pete one time, but I got confused with another brewery in St. Pete. So it's all good. So that's way too much info.
Well,
but
You have a lot of breweries in Tampa. I mean,
I
in
do.
St. Pete, and yeah, there. So anytime I visit Timmy in Tampa, we always go to, or most of the time, we go to a brewery.
Yeah, we've been to a few of them.
Yeah,
Cigar City, I know, is a big one. That's one we
yeah.
went to, and I'm trying to think of some other ones, but yeah, I'm bad.
You
I'm
know
bad
what?
with names.
You know who
We did
else is
Hidden
out in
Springs
Tampa?
last time.
Oh
Holy,
yeah, that was good.
Geek
you
Sorry,
Peak
know,
what's that, Matt?
Pod.
we have friends out in Tampa actually. Chris from Geek Peak Pod. I was recently on their episode about the DC animated universe. You all should
Ooh,
definitely check it out. And he's like my kindred spirit. Him and I were dead ass like separated at birth. No joke.
nice.
And yeah, he's out in Tampa actually. So we all have to go to Tampa, basically, is what I'm hearing, and
Well,
have one
sadly, it's now
giant.
called Champa Bay, which I didn't want to bring up this
Okay, so
early.
actually, fun fact: Tim actually died recording this podcast. It was such a tragic accident. What happened? It's a real shame.
The
And
problem was we like first met right during the NFL playoffs, so it was a bad time where things are very tense between
I
us.
just thoughts
Yeah,
and
I know.
prayers. I'm gonna change my Facebook profile to a distant memory of you, and pour one out for the homies we knew along the way.
He
All
actually
right.
was a Bucks fan though before they got Brady. So I feel like there's a lot of
He
people that
was one
just
of
jumped on
5
that
who were Bucks
bandwagon.
I
fans.
suffered. I suffered through all the lean years. I've been in Tampa for a long time, so yeah, it's been a rough patch. But all right, we're off track. But
Yeah,
yes, I'm sure
so
your friends love Tom Brady as well.
ugh,
I don't think anybody
I'm
loves
from
Tom
Boston,
Brady.
and all my friends love Tom Brady. All my friends love the
Oh.
Patriots. I am
You
not one
have
of
to,
them.
yeah.
All right, what are you
Anyways,
drinking, Matt?
I'm drinking. I got a little can that you sent me actually from Bramari Brewing. That's probably like the second
Ooh.
week in a row
Oh,
because last
it
week I
is,
had
yeah.
Holy Simcoe Batman. This week I have Opuntia Indica, which is a quadruple milkshake IPA with
Wow.
purpley pear, key lime, and agave. The hops are Citra, Lotus, and Motuek. Oh God, I cannot pronounce that.
Motiku?
Motueka. I don't know.
It
Oh
sounds
my
good,
God.
whatever it is.
Lauren sent me this. First of all, if you're on YouTube, you see a great luchador wrestler in a field of
Ooh.
flowers with an eagle. And here's the color. It's a nice, it looks like a smoothie, honest to
Yeah.
God. It's just
But
like a
doesn't taste
smoothie.
as thick as it looks though, I
It
didn't think.
doesn't, but it is 13.2%. And so this conversation might get off the rails tonight. Just want to let you know, we just came
Somehow
off
it feels off the rails already, but I mean,
we just came off
that's
our
the way to
live
go.
show for Hops News
Right.
where I was 2 beers in that point, and then now I'm drinking this third beer, which
Oh,
is 13% apparently, and I haven't eaten. So
All right.
buckle up,
If you
baby.
pass out,
We're
if
getting
you
into
pass out, we'll pass out.
I don't
We'll just
think
hug
we'll
it.
ever exceed our Harry Potter episode.
Oh, we might. We're gonna get there.
I was slurring on that episode. When I went back to listen to it, I didn't remember any of it. I'm like yelling at
It's the
Matt
best.
about sharks and the ghost boy and Three Men and a Baby. It's all over the place.
Oh yeah.
It was all over the place. But you know what? That's where we have the best conversations. And shout out to our other fellow podcasters who drink, such as I was also recently on an episode of Beer in Front where I showcased that purple stuff from Barbarian Brewing, talked about that a little, and also be on the lookout. I'm gonna be doing a brew day with Woodland Empire in Boise, Idaho here soon. I just got confirmation from Rob, who was
I was
also
gonna
on.
say, oh, you
Sweet.
just decided that. Nice.
I did. No,
Very
I
cool.
texted him and gonna be doing a brew day there. So without further ado, Lauren, tell us, please, what we fucked up last
I
week.
mean, what I fucked up.
No, I
Right.
actually am on this. I think I'm on this.
Ooh.
I think I'm
Oh.
on this.
All right. Well,
You
so we were drinking the Holy Simcoe Batman, and it said it was a smash beer, and I did explain smash means single malt and single hop. I thought that only was applicable to festivals, but I guess that's just when you make a beer that's single malt and single hop.
smash,
So
smash,
so
smash.
some of what the hell that was. Sorry. Oh, that 13% hit you real
And we're
good.
off the rails already. There we go. Smash.
But it's supposed to be like to bring you back to like pure flavors of the malt or the hop or whatever. But at these festivals, I mean, I drank a purple beer at the Smash Festival, so oh, okay.
Would you say it's
Last
that
week
purple stuff?
I also got a lot of my white guys very confused.
God, those damn white people just look
so-
Most
alike.
of us look alike. Yeah.
God damn, those white people just all look
Tim's half
alike.
Asian.
How
You
dare
can't say
they?
that.
Half of me looks like the rest of them. We'll
No,
just go
but
with-
as the resident
Which
tall,
half?
generic looking
the white half,
guy,
we'll say. Yes, the white
as the
half that you
generic looking
confuse
white guy, I can confirm that we do in fact all look alike. Because I was playing basketball the other day, and there's these two taller white dudes, right? They were both wearing gray shirts, black shorts, and they have a buzz cut. And honest to God, I kept passing
You
to
passed for the wrong team?
one because they look the same when you're in the heat of the moment and you catch one in the corner of your eye. You're like, that's my teammate.
You're like,
Swoosh.
white guy,
I'm like,
pass
look,
it. White
I'm
guy,
Rajon
pass it.
Rondo. Here you go. But it was the wrong white guy. So
Oh.
they, we all look
Well,
apparently.
I
That's
feel like anybody
hilarious.
who knew which white guys we were talking about and listened to our episode were probably screaming at us. So, Ron Livingston is the dude from Office Space. He is replacing Flash's dad in the Flashpoint movie, who is
Yes.
currently played by Billy Crudup, who was in Big Fish, not Hulk. That's
No,
Eric
he
Banner.
wasn't. But
Right.
he was actually, he played Dr. Manhattan, though. So
Blue Schlong. Remember the blue schlong that was on a
the
giant
big
screen?
giant
Oh,
blue
yeah.
The big giant blue
Yeah.
schlong. That was Billy Crudup's blue schlong.
Oh,
I thought I recognized him from somewhere.
I've seen
I
that
haven't seen that in
before
forever.
somewhere.
Yeah, Watchmen was crazy. Sorry.
No, I was going to say something, but I'll keep that one to myself or
Oh,
until we're
okay.
recording. Okay. So Kyle Chandler is the guy from the King Kong movies and Early Edition. So I confused Billy Crudup with Eric Bana and Ron
Wow.
Livingston
How
with
dare
Kyle
you.
Chandler.
How do you live with
I'm s-
yourself knowing that you just
Wow.
group all white dudes together?
I mean, that's almost worse than passing to any white guy in the basketball court thinking
It's
it's your teammate.
awful. Like, do you just associate me with like Jason Segel or whatever his name is? Like,
Jason
do I just?
Segel. Yep.
I can only hope I get confused with like Ben Affleck or Paul Rudd and his gorgeous face. Jesus.
Well, you and Paul Rudd look about the same age.
Oh my God, is that me or is it John Cena? I don't know. You can only see one of us.
You can't see him.
All
Oh,
right.
my
so
John
what did
Cena
you-
stuff's upstairs, but I have to get that later.
No one's allowed upstairs or you get karate chopped.
Oh, that's true.
That's the rule at Tim's house.
Poor Ryan. Poor Ryan. That was great. Sorry.
All right. So what have you? Oh no, did you
Yes.
fuck something up?
Apparently, I have to go back and listen, but Professor J on Twitter was like, hey, great episode for your Snyder Cut episode. However, it was Mira who did the hydrokinesis power. And I thought I had said Mira, but maybe I said Aquaman because he called me out on it. So I'm going to take him at his word. Professor J, hey,
Ooh.
call me on my shit. Shout out to you. Maybe I said Aquaman. I don't know. I've been drinking at that point because this is a beer podcast. And all of our comic book like friends that we've made, like, we're probably not going to have after this episode because they're going to be like, I'm not going on that show.
Well, I
So
also
standards
feel
are
like
too
we are
high.
very unqualified to have this show. And when people leave reviews like, Hoppy and Mash are so knowledgeable on comic books, I'm like, are we? All right.
are
that's
we?
good.
I don't know. No, thank you. Thank you. And if you've left a review,
Yes.
I really appreciate that. It means a lot to us. So thank you. So yeah, apparently I said Aquaman. I thought I said Mira. I knew who I was talking about because there's like this badass scene.
Yeah.
Mira's like sucking the blood out of Steppenwolf and it was so sick. But hey, you know what?
But like
Even
we
Jesus made mistakes. Okay.
but
Just
we
saying.
correct things when we talk. And like I called like what Spider-Man, Superman one day, and we don't even realize we're saying it until we listen back. But all right,
No.
so let's move along.
At least somebody
Come on, guys.
listens.
You're like so hard on yourselves. It's
At
supposed to
least
be. You
somebody
gotta.
listens to this show is all I'm saying. Thank you for listening. Please.
This
If
is
you're
my
doing
favorite
nothing
section
else.
of our show is what I fucked on the week before so I can redeem myself. This is my
Right.
web redemption.
If we
Oh,
do nothing
yes.
else, just listen to this show to find out what we fucked up on.
Right.
Thank you. Keeping us honest.
I scream at so many other podcasts that I feel like I'm sure people scream at us. So this is my I'm sorry we made you scream at us section.
Yeah, at least
It's perfect because you
please-
seem so humble to start off. You're like, we're sorry, and we're gonna fuck up some more. So let's
Look,
just.
I'm
Right,
sorry.
exactly.
I'm gonna make more mistakes. It's just who I am.
Well, I'm not gonna make any wrestling mistakes tonight because I hold myself to a higher standard, I guess. So
Oh,
I'm
I
just
can't wait. So yes, let's
I
get
don't.
to what have we read or watched this week. Showtime, hit us with the money.
Okay, well, I don't read any books, which Lauren already knows. So
You can't read.
I'm gonna stick with the
Especially
lot,
law books.
especially law books. That's okay. But that's how we met. We would never have been friends 15, 16 years ago if it wasn't for that. So, well, I'm gonna bring up Falcon and Winter Soldier. I saw Lauren had it too. I'm loving it so far. That I know you guys kind of talked about it too, but that first 10 minutes of episode 1 that action scene when he's flying through the air, that was as good as anything I've seen in a long time. So I'm loving that. I'm loving the drama, that's going on with all the characters, the background. I just think that Sebastian Stan is not quite up to the level of Anthony Mackie when they're in scenes together. I know it's a little biased. I'm a little picky when it comes to acting and how they're kind of doing versus each other. But I'm loving pretty much everything else about it. And I can't wait to see where it goes. Like it sucks. It's only 6 episodes, right? From what I read.
Yeah, it should only be 6. So wow, we're a third of the way through already.
Yeah.
How depressing is that? But we get Loki right after. So there
we do. Yeah, it's nonstop with Disney Plus. So yeah, I've been loving that. And and then
the WandaVision was the longest 6 or 7 weeks ever. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
just checking out. Superman and Lois, which we've talked about. I love Superman. Not a big fan of Lois and a lot of the kids stuff. I'm not sure. Have you seen it all, Matt? Have you started?
I haven't watched it. I'll be honest, because I just haven't had time. I don't know. It's
a lot. Yeah.
Anytime I get downtime, I'm catching up.
Justice League. You spent 12 hours watching Justice League.
I mean, on repeat. I did. I was sick and I was like, oh, Zack Snyder, come here, baby. Let me love you. Restore Snyder first.
That's why he hasn't watched.
Don't listen to them. I got you.
Watching Justice League.
I love the Flash and I love the Supergirl. So I was giving Superman and Lois because I think he's a great Superman. But the problem is they got the young teenage kids on the show, and I think they kind of make them too much about it. We want to see Superman do Superman stuff, and we want a good Clark Kent. And we get that, but we have so much other family stuff that feels very typical,
This doesn't make me think that, like, I don't understand what it is about anybody who does Superman outside of like live action, but they can't seem to capture Superman, right? I mean, even Man of Steel started to get there, but we're never going to get a Man of Steel 2. No. The TV shows, you never get a proper Superman. It's like they don't.
The problem is the trailers for Man of Steel were the best teaser trailers I've ever seen. They had me hooked, and then I went to Man of Steel, and I was like, you know what I mean? I feel like they had us so high for it, so it's like they had our hopes up, but we didn't really get there.
I love Man of Steel. Don't get me wrong. I just feel as though that they don't know how to write Superman. I think that's the biggest problem.
Or they're trying too hard to keep him dark and keep him in the same world.
How do
and
we
it's
make
like
him human?
Yeah,
well, I remember Tim sent me a video years ago. It was probably around Man of Steel that like explained why DC movies just flop after these amazing trailers.
Because
how
people
they just focus on those moments.
Nope, we're here to talk wrestling. Don't get me started.
Don't do this. Well, okay, real quick though, yes. But the problem is the trailers are so good, you fill in the blanks, right? Because it's only teaser trailers or there's only certain scenes. And the problem is with a lot of DC movies, the blanks that we fill in are not what we want. So I think it kind of leads to some people feeling disappointed. I'm not trying to start
them to other. We're comparing them also to other,
Sure. Well, and I'm old, so I love the '70s Superman, and I love the Michael Keaton Batman, and so there's a lot of old stuff that I'm comparing.
Anyways.
I should bring that up. When I watched your first podcast, Matt, I couldn't believe how young you were because you said you weren't born yet for the first Batman.
30 years old. I'll be 31 this year.
I know.
You were born in the 90s.
I was born in 90. Okay. We weren't in the 90s yet. We put the
spoiler. I was born in the 70s.
And I was born in the 80s.
Yeah, so we got all the demographics covered now. We're covered.
But to be fair, Tim, you don't look a day older than 32. So we're all in this together.
So we're cool. Yes.
Zoom has a hell of a filter.
This is how I look. This is me. I got wrinkles.
I can't wait. Like we're Hoppy.
Tim,
I hope to meet up with you, but Lauren and I are going to meet up in person, and maybe I'm not going to look so youthful. She's going to see that I'm really just an old, decrepit man.
Be like, you're not 30.
Wait,
I'm really 45.
Have you never met in person?
No.
We've never met in
person, but
that is crazy.
I'm coming out to Disney with the fam, so
very cool.
Be on the lookout for some live action stuff.
I should warn you, she's a lot of fun in person too, Lauren. So I mean, I'm sure you guys will have a good time.
We eat a lot of pizza and we drink a lot of beer.
Eat a lot of pizza, drink a lot of beer, and we say a lot of stuff.
We're gonna do a brewery day.
And then you wake up and Tim's gone because he's at Hard Rock playing blackjack.
We're sharing way too much information here.
Tim, what else have you read or watched though? I see some.
Yes, let's stay on track. I would say for you, The Young Rock is a sitcom that's just started on NBC.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing: it's not funny like a sitcom, but it's fun. And for a wrestling fan, it's awesome because they've recast Andre the Giant, Macho Man Randy Savage, who we're going to talk about later. They have all Iron Sheik. They have all, it's The Rock from all these different ages of his life.
Huh.
So they have Rock in the 80s when he's a little kid, and they have him in the 90s, and they have him at
So this isn't
college.
the fighting with my family Rock that we see or whatever the hell it was.
No, but it's good because it's cool because it's more about his stories. Talk
Yeah.
about how he got there because we know how he is now. He's one of the most famous people in the world, basically, and
His
it's like
dad was a wrestler, which a lot of people don't realize that his dad
right,
was a wrestler first, and that's how we
and
got
and,
Did
it.
not know that.
right, and the show covers that because and the casting is great. Like they really cast people that look like his dad and look like
Yeah.
his mom and look like the actors. So it's a fun show. It's only a half hour. It's only like four shows in, so it's definitely something I think you should check out, Matt.
You
As a
know what?
wrestling fan.
I'll give it some thought just because you
Yeah.
told me to check it out.
Awesome. Okay. And then I just like to give a shout out to the WWE Network is now on Peacock. And so everyone who has Peacock can see me live at WrestleMania. I guess when this airs Saturday.
Yeah,
And then you can see me on the Peacock Network. So
it's true.
just
That's
give
true.
him a shout out to myself. So that's what I watched, and I'll throw it over to you guys. I know you got a lot more stuff to talk about.
Lauren, hit us.
Well, I already discussed Invincible, so if you're not watching
It's
or
true.
reading it, then you're wrong.
I think we've all watched Falcon and Winter Soldier. We can just group that in. We've all seen it.
It's
Yeah,
all
no,
good, dude.
and and I watched Superman and Lois, and I do like Clark. I agree with everything Tim basically said, and we've even texted about it when it first came out. He asked me about it, and the Lois though, which I thought was interesting, they actually cast. She's like 7 years older than him in real life,
Yeah.
and they make that comment because you have what's the girl from Entourage is in it, and
Sloan from
yeah,
Entourage. I
Sloane.
forgot her
She
real name.
plays Lana. Yeah, I don't remember her real name either, but yeah, she was Sloane, and they make a comment about him still looking so young, and I was like, well, he doesn't look that much younger than them, but they intentionally cast everybody like 7 years older than them because Superman doesn't age or whatever.
He doesn't.
But
Oh,
yeah, that's what there's. I guess he ages slower, so kind of like an Invincible, which clearly that one they're mirrored after Superman, and you see
Yeah.
all that in anybody who's watched Invincible or read it, like you see a lot of mirroring of a lot of the DC characters. You see a nod to Star Trek, and in one of the recent ones I was reading, Mark ends up in another universe, and you see Spider-Man's legs in the back of Doc Ock just for a split second.
So there is
Ooh.
a comic book out that I've seen the cover. It's Invincible with Spider.
I was wondering if that was real.
It's real. I saw somebody has actually posted the actual thing.
Okay, well, I need to buy that like right now.
Samesies.
Okay. But no, I was at the
Show-
comic
show
book
him.
shop earlier, and I told my guy, I'm like, you'll be so proud of me. I finally read out. And he's like, yes, because I had read the first trade back years ago. But I'm really glad I kept it. I couldn't put it down. It was like,
Yeah.
I had it in the living room. It was like every chance I got, I was trying to read it. And now I'm waiting for the second phone book to come. It's so
Awesome.
good.
Sweet.
But yes, so yeah, and I think Lois in Superman and Lois, I have high hopes for it. I think it'll pick up. I think there's going to be more coming on with the dad. Lois's dad is very involved in it, and I think we'll get more. And I think hopefully we should have some crossovers too.
We should, yeah. I mean, well, I'm not sure because all the
CW,
shows
you're
are
gonna get
ending soon, right?
crossover. No,
Supergirl's
only
ending this
Supergirl.
year, right?
Flash is still going.
Flash is still going. Okay, yeah.
You'll
Yeah,
get
Promise,
Supergirl.
Flash has kind of gone downhill a lot for me, so I used to love Flash as my favorite.
Yeah,
And
it definitely has gone downhill.
I haven't watched any of the ones this year, but they never wrapped up last season because of COVID. All right, so we should. What did you read?
Oh
or
yeah.
watch?
So obviously I've been reading Ice Cream Man. That's been a great
Ooh.
horror comic. I have 3 trades down, 2 more to go. And other than that, I haven't been to my comic book shop yet to pick up my latest issues. So I'm hoping to get out there this week. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, I've only made it through Invincible episode 1.5 so far because I'm an old man. I fall asleep early. So I
you're
fell asleep.
30. You're not an old
I know,
man.
he
You're
says that all
30.
the
Start a
time.
TV show or a
He starts
movie, and then 5
snoring.
minutes in, I'm like just nodding off, and my wife's like, "Are you awake?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm awake." She goes, "What just happened?"
Josh
I'm
does
like,
that same shit,
"Well,
and I
you
do that
see,
same
what had
shit.
happened was here's the beginning that I saw, and we're 30 minutes in the future." So
Right. Josh
Yeah.
will do that. I'm like, that happened like an hour ago.
that's all I have. I'm seeing Godzilla and King Kong on Friday.
Oh.
So by the time this airs, I will have seen it. So be on the lookout for Nerds by Nerds podcast. That episode is going to come out this week. We are going to be collaborating with them. And shout out to them because they're in New Hampshire. Those are my people right there. So
Nice.
we're going to go on do a review of that film. I'm seeing it in the theater. I'm excited. And I haven't done too much. I haven't had time. I've been swamped with work. if you, I just work has been so busy, so I haven't had any time for anything else. And I
So
graduate college finally at the age of 30 on
That's
May.
huge. Congrats.
So I've been doing my capstone work, and I'm planning big events for work. So yeah, I've just any free chance I get, I'm doing podcast, or we're collaborating with people like Dark Horse Comics, and
we're kind
that's
of
where
a
all my
big
free
deal.
time goes. Like no big deal, but we are going to
You
be
guys are
doing
awesome.
a comic book review to talk about a upcoming comic book from Dark Horse Comics. That's going to be exciting. Megan Huang, I hope I said that right. I hope I said, please God, I hope I said that right. We're
You
going to be
tried.
talking
You
with
tried
her.
your best.
And if I didn't get it right, I apologize. We'll get it right when you actually listen to our episode. However, we're going to be talking about her new comic, Rangers of the Divide. And so from Dark Horse Comics. So that's exciting.
I should add, I was a big fan of your podcast where you actually talked about the wrestling comic book.
Invasion
Mm.
from Planet WrestleTopia.
Yes, I say that that was fun, and I'm glad Lauren brought up my chops history with friends of ours, and um, it was awesome. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I might actually, I have to read this because it sounded
Yeah,
like right up my alley. So
it's great. And be on the lookout also for the Kickstarter. This Thursday, we have our episode with Frank Martin, another comic book writer. And
The last
it's going to be
homicide.
called The Last Homicide is what he writ.
ooh,
He wrote. And there's a Kickstarter out for it. So if you join and pledge to the Kickstarter, you get hard copies of the comic. Check our pages for that. That's going to be exciting. And other than that, what do we have for news? Because again, this is going to be kind of a long episode. I know it, but we're having fun
because
here.
I'm here
Already.
trying to interrupt you guys where
I
normally
can
you're just
talk all
talking.
night. So let's get into some news. So I'm going to go in with the Obi-Wan cast. They're going to be starting production
Yes,
soon. And not only do you have Ewan McGregor, but you have Hayden Christensen coming back as Darth Vader. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if I see any live action Clone Wars flashbacks of those two, I will literally roll fucking tears. I will sit there, I
I'm
will
with you, man.
sob, and I'm not a crier. I don't cry during things, but if I see that, I'm gonna cry my little eyes out. And other than that, we got Moses Ingram, Joel Edgerton, Rupert Friend, Indira Varma,
Well,
Kamal.
she's
Oh
from
man,
Game of Thrones.
she is, and Kamal Nanjiani. He is in a lot of stuff. He
He's
was in
in.
Stuber.
Well,
Mhm.
he's gonna be in what Eternals, I believe.
He is. He's gonna be in
He's
Eternals.
so
And
He's
jacked
got
now.
like,
Have you seen him?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude,
he's
he's
crazy
freaking
jacked. Yeah, he's a
stacked.
comic. He's a funny guy. He's like, nope, I'm gonna get muscles and
Yeah,
be that.
he
right.
always seems like the scrawny, like Indian dude, but like he
Yeah,
is stacked now, and so
I
he's
think
gonna be in
he's
it.
I no, what is he? Pakistani, I believe.
Yes,
But yeah, I mean, when he put out that picture, holy shit! But
the
he even
internet
stacked.
blew
showed
He
you
had
up.
the
where
Yeah.
the
stack of
beach is
pancakes. The
and
dude is
where his
stacked.
beach ball is. Yeah.
We have Bonnie Piesse,
Speech bullets.
O'Shea Jackson Jr., Sung
Just
Kang,
all the
who
beach
you know as
balls.
Han from Fast and Furious. He's in it. Simone Kessel, and then Benny Safdie. They're all in the Kenobi. It starts
I knew
production
like two of those people,
very
maybe four.
soon. If you see their faces, you know who they are.
Yeah.
Other than that, we have Donald Faison, who you know as Turk.
Face
Turk
on.
looks
Is
like
that? I think it's
Well,
face on. Yeah.
face on.
Turk.
Okay, I don't
I think
know.
it's face
oh,
You
on.
know what? I'm not here to give
You
names.
didn't watch Scrubs? Did you watch
Of
Scrubs?
course, I watched Scrubs. We just did an
Okay.
we did an
episode
yeah, we
that
did an
premiered last
episode
I
on
know.
week,
I'm
it.
joking. I'm joking. I'm
and
joking.
so
But he'll always be the guy from Clueless.
no,
Oh, he
he's always
was.
Turk to me. But no, you're right. He is from just like Paul Rudd was in Clueless. Clueless, man.
He was
I've
Josh.
been drinking. Anyways, yeah, he's cast as Professor Drake Utonium for the Powerpuff Girls live
Ooh.
action CW show that nobody asked for, but we're all getting anyways.
I don't want to like this, but the cast keeps
Yeah, the
coming out.
cast,
Like Daisy's gonna be in it from Agents of
yeah.
Shield, and I love her.
And then
Oh,
my last piece of news is the CW Flash has cast Jordan Fisher as Bart Allen, Barry and Iris's future child. I have fallen off the Flash train a little bit because it just kind of became redundant to me.
I
They
agree.
already
Yeah.
had his daughter.
They had his
Now we're getting
daughter.
his son.
And she was great. Yeah, the daughter
Yeah,
was good.
she was
But
great, but
yeah,
it's become too CW kind of redundant, and
it
so
stretched on too long.
maybe it's
Like
gonna be good.
too many seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hoppy news hit us.
News.
Boom.
Okay. Epcot's Food and Wine Festival dates have been announced. It is going from July 15th to November 20th. Food and Wine is awesome. I don't know if they're going to have concerts yet. When I find that out, I will let people know. But yeah, Epcot's now getting to the point to where there's always a festival. Flower and Gardens going on right now, and they have really extended these dates too. I think it's because of COVID because they are still limiting numbers, but I don't know. I don't work for Disney. Venom 2 has been delayed a week. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know Venom 2 was coming out, but now it's coming out September 24th, 2021.
Breaking news.
Venom, it's called Venom
Nobody
Let There
asked for
Be
this sequel.
Carnage. Oh, nobody wants this sequel. It picks up where the first trash movie ended, and Woody Harrelson is the star.
With his fake ass wig.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
Woody.
has a fake ass wig quite often.
Oh my god. Oh god.
So the Batman is now March 4th, 2022. Now, Matt, isn't this Batman supposed to be Halloween themed or no?
It was. So
Ooh.
speaking of, I'm gonna steal a little bit of breaking news. Speaking of Halloween, we are getting a animated rendition of the Long Halloween with Jensen Ackles as your Batman.
He's the number one on my list.
Yeah, there's also some other big actors in there. I don't feel like
He's number one. It's not Arrow. Used to be Arrow.
Yeah, Arrow was still 5 years ago.
Stephen Amell, beautiful man. But he's
Stephen
not-
Amell, and
Yeah.
he's wrestled too. So we're just tying it all together.
But no,
he has
yeah,
been on my list though. He's been on everybody's list.
I
I know,
believe
I
it
was
does. It does take place during Halloween.
Okay, so Mortal Kombat's delayed to April 23rd, 2021.
Okay, I have a quick conspiracy for that. It's because if you signed up the day before the Snyder Cut released, you would have gotten Snyder Cut, Godzilla, and Mortal Kombat all in a 30-day trial. So
why didn't they think of that before?
my little,
smart.
conspiracy theory brain is that they're just trying to get more money. Which that's
That makes
probably
sense.
exactly what that is.
100%.
Makes total sense. Yeah.
They need that extra
Don't-
$15
Don't
from
bring
everybody.
up this last piece of news because it's just you ruining it for the rest of us.
All right, real quick, I'll just say it.
Fuck off.
Bring it up.
Fans are negatively reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong in the hopes that DC will restore the
Ugh.
Snyderverse.
If you
Which
do
makes no
this, you're
sense.
trash. Don't do this.
Yes.
Do not do this. You're trash. Let these
That's
movies
all I
be
got.
these movies. And that's all. Yeah.
Now I will take a side. Let me know when you want me to say movie fun facts, but you two.
We're here.
The main event.
It is.
In
And
this
so
corner.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Rumble.
They say that in wrestling, right? That's right.
my God, he's broken in half. As God is my witness.
He's got a family. Damn it.
Oh my God. By God, someone stop the damn match. He's got a family. We're here because WrestleMania is this week. And it's a two-part event. And so we are talking wrestlers who have turned movie stars. And there's more than just The Rock and John Cena. I promise you that, brothers. And
First off, Matt, have you been to WrestleMania before? Can I ask?
I should have. So I was living in the Panhandle of Florida when it went to
Right.
Orlando. I should have
Right.
went. We did not go. Unfortunately, we were going to go. We had a small kid. We didn't go at that time. So no, I
understand.
haven't. I was
going
gonna
to
go
closer to WrestleMania than you have.
Fuck
You have multiple times. She has come to party with me around WrestleMania
I
weekends.
was supposed to go to SummerSlam last August because it was going to be in Boston. And so I was
Yes.
I planned we were going to go back home. We were
That would have been awesome.
SummerSlam, and it got canceled. But I mean, I've been to many SmackDowns. I've been to a bunch of live events, things of that nature.
Very
I grew
cool.
up
No,
on wrestling. I love.
You're a fan, and that's awesome. Like I just, it's so hard to meet the real fans out there, to
He's
really
like,
bond.
It's
with-
great. I'm going to WrestleMania this weekend. You're not. It's cool.
No, the only reason I asked if you've been at WrestleMania is so that I could say, well, Matt, I've been. This is going to be my seventh
You're seven.
WrestleMania.
Oh, so we got a true fan with us.
5 of them
tonight.
were probably before you were born.
We did. We
Ouch.
brought Tim on tonight because
It was ouch to both of you.
Tim is our expert on wrestling. Tim is a fellow
thank you.
wrestling nerd, a fellow
I
wrestling.
got the Macho Man shirt on for the
He's
occasion.
got
Happy
the
to show up.
Macho Man shirt on, and he's been around. He's seen a thing or two. So
I've been around.
you're going to WrestleMania this summer.
I'm actually older than WrestleMania, which Matt cannot say. So that's pretty bad.
It's true. It is true. And
How old is
so,
WrestleMania?
how was WrestleMania?
This will be 37 this year. So yeah,
Oh,
started.
so it's as old as I am. Okay.
Did
She's
you go
older
to
too, yeah.
WrestleMania 1? Did you go to that whole thing?
No, but okay. Can I share a quick story though?
You can, of course, you can share whatever you want. On this
WrestleMania
podcast.
2 was my first real WrestleMania experience, but only because back in the day, before cable was really a thing, there was closed circuit television, right? So you had to go to a theater or go to some place to watch WrestleMania on like a closed circuit screen, right? So I was 7 years old at WrestleMania 2, and my sister wanted to take me to go see this. And this is why I'm a fan for life, because we get there and there's not enough seats to fit everybody that wanted to see Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in a steel cage, main event WrestleMania 2. And a riot breaks out on this college campus, and chairs are being thrown, windows are being smashed, and I was just hooked for life. And I bring it up to my sister all the time. I'm like, thank you for bringing me there. She can't believe that I'm still watching 35 years later, I guess. But it was just, that's my first experience is a real fight, riot, brawl breaks out. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. This is, people have to see Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy for this. And that was WrestleMania 2, which was 1986. So that was my first real experience. And like I said, I've seen pretty much all of them ever since. I've been to, this is going to be my 7th that I'm going to this weekend in my hometown in Tampa Bay. It was canceled last year, obviously, because of COVID.
No,
we didn't think we'd get it.
They still had it. They
still had it, but it was canceled from Raymond James, which I had tickets with all my friends, and then it was up in the air. I managed to get vaccinated a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I'm going. I would not risk WrestleMania with that crowd without any kind of protection. So, you know what I mean? It's not the safest crowd, but Ray J is going to be rocking. Man. They're going to have like 25,000 people there this weekend, so I'm psyched, and I'm so happy we're doing this podcast just to kind of talk about wrestling stuff because I'm in the zone. I'm already there.
No, we specifically, because WrestleMania is this week, it's such a big thing, and there are a lot of, obviously you have The Rock, you have John Cena, but like people don't realize Jesse the Body Ventura has been in movies. Huge. Andre the Giant's been in movies. Chris Jericho.
We don't know Andre the Giant
though. The Great Khali. Like there are so many wrestlers, and WWE even has like their own movies that were coming out for a while there.
They have, yeah.
They don't necessarily, they're not the best, but nonetheless, like they were producing their own films. Like the Man Becky Lynch was on some. John Cena got his start in The Marine, which was a WWE production, and it wasn't good, but nonetheless,
I didn't even know there was a WWE production company.
Yeah, that's what those WWE productions, and like John Cena was the Marine, Kane was in See No Evil. There was just a bunch of them that were wrestlers starring in these for that reason. So.
Well, and it like really started because they want to be mainstream, the wrestling. You know what I mean? Yeah. They want the fan acceptance. They want to be a major sport and a major movie at the same time, So it's always been hard. Like no one's ever broken out. It's like, oh, you're a wrestler. You're in this corner. This is the only thing you can do. So that's why just The Rock and everyone that came before him that got into the mainstream stuff is so huge for wrestling fans and for wrestling in general. Because it's like, oh, now they're okay with us. They're accepting us as entertainers,
So we'll kind of get started. We'll go through just some wrestlers who in their movies they're in and some of the big wrestling moments. I know for Tim and I, they're going to overlap, especially the one himself, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Like that's just going to overlap because ever since he broke into Hollywood, he has been in every movie ever made.
He's the big. I mean, he's in Disney movies now. I mean, he's the big.
Everything.
Even when
Jungle
he was
Cruise.
in the ring, like in the beginning when he was Rocky Maivia, he was in like the Nation of Domination, and they didn't really know what to do with him, but once he found himself as The Rock,
he never stopped. He hasn't stopped since. No, this is 30. We're going on 25 years, over 25 years. He's been in the zone.
Mic, and as soon as he took the mic, you were getting pure gold. Right. It didn't matter what it was. Like he was feuding with Mankind. Right. They were tag team partners. And of course, like you had The Rock versus Stone Cold, which was probably the biggest. Wrestling may never have two bigger stars at one time than those two.
Absolutely.
And nobody makes a fanny pack look good like The Rock.
Oh, you got that. Of course, you got
the turtleneck. You got the gold chain.
Turtleneck, the gold chain. And
so funny thing. So Tim's, I'll meet him at breweries and he'll drink good beer, but he's not a big brewery fan. But we're in.
I'm cheap. Just say it, Lauren. I'm cheap. Okay. Yes. I'm cheap. I drink the cheapest beer. Me and Lauren used to drink the cheapest beer. Then suddenly she got money and left me behind.
She got too good for me. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Me and Lauren used to go to the gas station. We used to go to the gas station on the way to the beach to buy the cheapest beer we could afford.
Buy a 12-pack of Bud Light.
What are we buying tonight? Bud Light, brother.
So I was in LA and I'm at El Segundo Brewery and Tim's like, "Oh, did you have the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer?" I'm like, "I did. How do you even know what that is?"
Broken Skull. Yeah, and he has
because it's in our world. Because Stone Cold promotes it everywhere he goes, and it's just.
I had never heard of it till I was at the brewery, and it was an IPA, so I got it.
Yes. If there's some wrestling related thing, I'm gonna have some angle. I'm gonna know something about it.
Right.
No, I haven't tried one yet. I can't wait to try it. You both have had it, so I'm pretty jealous.
IPA. Well, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, we had it on I had it on our Cobra Kai episode, and it's good. It's out of El Segundo Brewing out in California.
El Segundo.
Segundo.
Thank you for saving.
It's
that's
right by the
embarrassment.
LAX airport. So if like we stopped there and had a flight and then went straight to the airport.
Yeah,
So if
Awesome.
you're ever near LAX, which a lot of people are, definitely check them out. Awesome little brewery. They make some great IPAs.
for sure. And
Very cool.
he does Broken Skull Ranch, where he interviews like every wrestler under the sun. And Stone Cold, I mean, he started
He's so
out.
good too. Yeah.
He is like, it's funny because you used to see him. There's pictures of him with hair. He talks about on his his biography. He would eat potatoes in his car for dinner because he was so poor as a wrestler before he really made it big. And you
The
don't
Rock too.
realize,
I mean, these guys struggled
yeah,
for so long, so that's why when they make it and they finally reach the top, it just means so much more.
it does. And you don't realize they're independent contractors as well. Like wrestlers are independent contractors. So of course they are actors as well as wrestlers because you got to cut a gnarly promo. You got to act. You go out and pretend. Yes, wrestling is fake. Okay, blah, blah, blah. However, you go ahead and you take a shot from
Predetermined. Yeah, fake
predetermined. I
with
was going to say, you go out and get hit with a steel chair. You take these bumps that they're
right.
taking. That's
The
real.
injuries. Yeah.
And they do go through a lot of shit. And so I don't blame a lot of them for going into the acting. And with that said, I'll kind of run down like, so obviously we had The Rock, whose first film was his debut in Hollywood was where he played that awful CGI version of the Scorpion King
It
in The
looks so
Mummy
fake.
Returns.
Yeah. It
That
looked
was,
so terrible. It was like a
oh,
bad video game, like,
it was so bad. He was a
Scorpion.
Scorpion King. You knew nothing about him. And yet he was so captivating that we brought him back for the Scorpion King in 2002, where he played Mateus as an Akkadian who battled King Memnon. And it's kind of the prequel to that. And I actually don't mind that movie. That movie's actually kind of good. I like that movie.
Well, it like made The Rock because right
Yeah.
there he was like legit. He started his own movie. It made a ton of money, and right off the bat, it's like, oh. But as a wrestling fan during that time, I'm like, oh, he's not coming back to wrestling. If
Oh,
he's gonna,
because yeah, I mean, this was at like his peak. So you
right.
had WrestleMania, you had like 3 WrestleManias where him and Stone Cold battled it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you have his reigns with like Mankind was another notable.
Triple H,
Triple
Undertaker,
H,
Kurt
this was like
Angle,
the
yeah,
height of the Attitude Era. And so yeah, you knew right then and there like he wasn't coming back. And ever since then,
right.
some of the movies that he was big in that we all know is like San Andreas. That movie's a great disaster film. Hobbs and Shaw, where he stars with Jason Statham because he was Hobbs in Fast and Furious. If you don't know what I'm talking about, all you got to know is he flexes out of a cast at one point and then picks up a Gatling gun from a helicopter and he proceeds to shoot like a Gatling gun in the middle of the street after having, he's like, Daddy's got to go to work. Bam, 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 bam. And that's peak Rock. I love it. And so he was in Jumanji, Moana as
You're welcome. He was
yes,
You're
Maui.
welcome.
King,
Yes.
Maui, and Jungle Cruise, which is coming out soon with what's her
So,
name?
and I know I've mentioned this before, but Disney is currently redoing Jungle Cruise to make it less racist because they know that the line's going to get longer after the movie comes out.
Oof,
Less
Disney.
racist. Not like not
So,
not racist at all, but just less racist.
Look, it's just
well,
a
I'm
little
assuming
less
not racist
racist,
at all. They're
guys.
taking
Okay,
out a lot of the
we
race
took a vote,
stereotypes.
and
Yeah.
but he's playing Black Adam, where his production's finally starting, and that comes out next summer. He's been teasing that for 6 years or so.
Yeah.
He was in Rampage, Skyscraper, both again. Just
That's the gorilla movie, right?
yes,
Rampage?
it was an
That's
old
on
school
HBO
arcade
Max.
game actually, where the
Oh,
gorilla
right.
just destroys the city, kind of thing. Fighting with My Family, which is a story kind of Paige's upbringing kind of deal. Central Intelligence, where him and Kevin Hart they really got off like friendship wise, and ever since then they're just like going back and forth. The memes. He was in Baywatch with Alexandra Daddario and what's Zac Efron.
Mm-hmm.
And Pain and Gain was another one of his early movies with Mark Wahlberg, where he was just like this phenomenal comedic actor. He was a juice head. And then,
Is that the
of
one in
course,
Miami?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's that one. And then, of course, who could forget Walking Tall,
Which
which
was
was
great.
really like his breakout movie to me because he's like this old school special forces guy. He comes back home, he goes for sheriff, and he's beating people with 2x4s and shit, and it was great.
He was tough. He was tough as hell in that one. Yeah, that was fun.
And so some notable matches that I have for The Rock.
This is a great list. I love this list. I'm so glad
Yes.
you wrote out all these matches.
You've got The Rock versus Kurt Angle, No Way Out 2001, which Kurt Angle was also at the top of his, his game, but
Phenomenal.
Kurt Angle had no chance. He loses that match. You have The Rock versus CM Punk 2013 Royal Rumble. You have, of
Okay.
course, what's
Sorry,
up?
I have a funny story I have to interject since
No,
I'm Showtime and I
interject.
go to
Yes.
every great wrestling thing. The Rock, we didn't know The Rock was coming back for that Royal Rumble until he appeared at Amalie Arena in Tampa, and him and Punk both had the microphones, probably two of the best guys ever. And I'm there, probably 10 rows back, and the two of them are just. It was magnetic. I can't even describe. The people are so happy to see Rock back. We're so shocked that we're gonna get Rock versus Punk at the Royal Rumble. It was crazy, and his entrance is just like you feel the vibrations in the whole building when The Rock came out.
Oh my
So,
God,
yeah,
yes. You just
dude,
know
it's
as
just
soon as his
awesome.
music
So
hits,
yeah,
dude.
I was so happy that you posted that. I forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, I was at. It was the first promo they had before
Yeah.
the Royal Rumble when they first
And
announced
this was
it.
at the height of CM Punk, who
Like,
was
I
already
forgot I was
disgruntled.
I forgot I was there until I saw a picture. I'm like, oh yeah, I was there.
Been to so many things, I always forget.
He's
You
lived
get
a long life.
you get the
I've lived a
Rock.
long life. Yes, that's very true. And I'm old, so I'm gonna have been to many things.
Yeah, you get the Rock versus John Cena.
That doesn't get it. I'm always the youngest of all my friends, and then I have this podcast with this kid who's 7 years younger than me, and now I'm the old bitch. Every time we have a guest, I'm still the old bitch. So now I finally have someone on the podcast that's
This
older than
kid,
me.
who you calling? Like, first of all,
No, but sometimes I'll get mad at Matt for calling you old because I'm like, man, I'm older than Lauren, so I'm really
You know,
old. Like,
when we were in law school together, like one girl's like, "How old are you?" And I said how old I was, and she goes, "Fuck you," and she was a friend.
yeah.
Because I've always been the youngest because I'm a summer birthday, and in Florida, the summer birthday.
I'm a fall birthday. I'm always the youngest. So
Okay, well, I mean, I was in my mid 20s when we first started hanging out. Now I'm in my 40s, so I'm just warning you, it goes
I was in
fast.
my early 20s when we started hanging out.
And now you're in your late 30s, so it goes fast.
Exactly. I
time
have
is
to
a
get all
flat circle.
this like, oh, he's the old dude at the party because I've been the old bitch at the party this entire podcast.
So if you guys didn't know, we're actually, this is the geriatric version of Hops News.
Well, listen, I bring in the over 40
the tables are
demographic.
turning.
Yes, I bring in the male older 40
fact, we're
demographic. You guys have been
actually
crazy.
the Make-A-Wish version where we're granting old people wishes of coming on a podcast.
Listen, I'm sure that this is my first podcast, and it's probably going to be my last, but I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. I'm going to enjoy
He
it.
has to watch his cholesterol, otherwise,
Right,
it's
because I
all
got
downhill
problems.
from here.
Everything hurts when you get to be my age, man. I'm not even joking. Everything
And
hurts.
this is Skinny Tim.
Oh,
Hey,
is-
Tim is actually what the guy in one of our earlier episodes that got me in to see the first Thor a few days ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is true.
Back to your wrestling.
Anyways, yes. So
Which,
obviously,
by the way, Lauren didn't mention me when she mentioned she went to see Thor. She's like, I had a friend in Tampa. I can't remember his
had a
name.
friend.
so he say he's just a
past
friend.
All right, I'll stop interrupting now. Go.
You have The Rock versus John Cena. They They wrestle a couple times. They hated each other at that point. John Cena was like, "You're no
legit
longer,
heat, Lauren. They really hated each other.
They dead
and
ass hate each other.
it always
The
makes
Rock
it
went
They both
Hollywood and
seem
forgot where he
nice.
came from. And John Cena
because John Cena called out The Rock for leaving.
John Cena was a company guy. He was like,
Right.
"How dare you leave wrestling and forget where you come from?" And then John Cena got a taste of Hollywood, and he's like, "Oh,"
and then he left.
sorry
Yeah.
about that.
I was gonna say they're both DC Super Earth people.
So like now they're friends. They've
Superheroes.
made up, but at
Friends
the
now,
time,
but they hated.
were still
there was
competitive.
legit animosity there. They
Right.
hated each other.
which is a risk because you're putting your life in each other's hands when you're wrestling.
Yeah.
You could injure the guy permanently and cost them stuff. So
Yeah,
it's always interesting when there's real beef, backstage and stuff going on.
they had beef. They had real beef. They could have used one of your vegan burgers, but unfortunately, they had real beef.
Could they smell it if I was cooking it?
That was a perfect comeback, Lauren. You nailed it.
It
You
was.
nailed it for a wrestling podcast.
Don't
Come on.
fuck
They
with my
have
vegan burgers.
The
Bitch.
Rock versus Stone Cold Backlash 99 was one of their first toe-to-toes. And then, of course, you have 3 WrestleManias where The Rock, WrestleMania 17.
So he was at the one in 2017 in Orlando. He was still wrestling.
The Rock was he was at the one. I mean, I saw him in
17.
Miami. Yeah,
WrestleMania 17.
17, not 2017. The number 17.
Yeah, him and Stone Cold fought.
Okay,
Right.
sorry.
And then The
Sorry,
Rock
that's
could not
confusing, yes.
beat The Rock couldn't beat Stone Cold. That was a big thing. Like The Rock never beat Stone Cold until WrestleMania X1X, where it was their last wrestling match
means
against
19.
each other.
Okay.
Yeah, they wrestled 3 WrestleManias in a row.
Like, this is really confusing.
The Rock keeps losing, and The Rock finally beats Stone Cold at WrestleMania 19, and that was kind of like the crescendo. And afterwards, like Stone Cold broke his neck, couldn't wrestle anymore. The Rock left for
Oh,
His
Hollywood.
last match, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really Stone
That was
Cold's
it.
last
broke
real
his
That was
match.
it.
neck.
Well,
Well,
every
mo-
wrestler breaks
Live?
his neck. Like Kurt Angle
Matt,
was wrestling with a broken neck.
I was at the match when Owen pile drive SummerSlam, 97, when Owen pile driver Austin, and I was
That's
there,
when
and
he broke his neck. Yeah.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
He wasn't moving. He was on the mat like this. I'm like, he's paralyzed or he's dead. It was terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
You do get that. And of course, that's the big one. We have John Cena, who plays Peacemaker. He's played in Blockers, things of that nature. I'll let
I loved
Tim
him in
kind of go into
Blockers.
that. We have some lesser known ones. So you have Tyler Mane, who was known in WCW as Big Sky. He was Sabretooth in the very first X-Men.
Oh, that's
In
right.
fact,
Did he
then
even
you
have a
have-
line? I think he just growled.
He just
he did
just
say like
grunted.
one line, I think, and then of course that's it. Then you have Terry Funk, who was in Roadhouse. You've got Chris Jericho, Kane, MVP, Mark Henry, the strongest man on earth, Great Khali, and then the Big Show. They were in MacGruber, which is such an underrated film. That movie
So
was
funny.
so
And
funny.
can I just sing the last line of the theme song from the movie? Because it's one of my favorite lines. We made a fucking movie, MacGruber. I was laughing. As soon as that happened, I was laughing the whole rest of the time.
Yes. We have Goldberg, who actually played in Santa's Sleigh as a demonic evil Santa. I've watched that movie. It is top quality shit. Like it is
I
a
haven't
B
seen it.
movie. I encourage you to go watch that movie because it is
Okay.
ridiculous.
Santa Slay.
It's
He finds the
Slay
most
as in
terrible
SLA
movies.
dub
It's
or
unbelievable.
SLAY. Santa Slay that way.
Slay. Got it.
He's slaying. Of course, this
Kill.
is before he completely phones it in and can't even wrestle at like things, the greatest showdown, things like that.
He's still wrestling because they're still paying him. And
Which
yeah,
is, I mean, I would too if I'm getting paid
I know.
come once a year. So you have
It's true.
Kane in See No Evil, which is one of WWE productions where he plays like an evil guy who kills people. You have
Serial killer.
the Big Show, and now you all forget this. I know you do.
I didn't forget.
Captain
Lauren forgot.
Insano.
Lauren forgot.
Captain.
Old people?
No, I'm saying you all forget this. I didn't say old people. Stop. Like, come off your horse then. Okay. Get your walker. Come off your horse.
Oh,
Plays
he's getting feisty now.
Captain Insano in The Water Boy. So if you see Adam Sandler, he's watching the TV. He's like, Captain Insano says, that's the Big Show.
Yes.
That was kind of like one of the
Huh.
notable things. And then, of course, you had the Big Show's whatever show on Netflix that got canceled. Nobody cares.
I tried to watch like 3 minutes of it and I turned
I
it off.
didn't
I'm like,
bother.
it's
I
bad.
didn't bother.
No, it's so bad. So.
Right.
You have Big Daddy Diesel, Kevin Nash, part of the NWO, and he was in The Punisher. He played the
Nash.
Russian. And
Matt, I got one movie to add for Kevin Nash was
hit
in that
me.
Lauren saw. I know Lauren even saw it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 back in the day. He played Super Shredder.
Yes, that's right.
He was Super Shredder.
That's the
Yes.
all-time best Ninja Turtle movie.
Deep
Secret of
cuts,
the
dude.
Ooze.
That
was Kevin
cuts for
Nash.
you.
Kevin Nash. All right. Just had to throw that in there when I saw your list.
So he was in Teenage
Steve
Mutant Ninja
Nash.
Turtles.
That's what I was thinking of. I'm like, that's a
Steve
basketball
Nash is
player.
a point guard from the Suns who now
the
coaches the
Suns.
Nets.
Crazy.
Okay. So yeah, the Punisher, with Thomas Jane and John Travolta, he plays the Russian where he comes in and he's like, he gets hit in the head. He's like, head fuck. And then he smashes Thomas Jane around. And then he finally gets killed by breaking his neck. And then last but not least,
Not a net breaking.
but you have Jesse the Body Ventura. Before he went governor, he was in The Running Man.
That's why he sounded familiar.
Yes, he was the governor of Minnesota.
I've heard of him before. No, those are both awesome movies.
He was in The
yeah.
Running
Say,
Man,
I
and he was in
see these
Predator
movies, I
with
don't remember
Arnold
them. Why do I know
Schwarzenegger.
this?
So that's kind of what I have.
Those
Lauren,
are awesome.
do you have anything to add or anything?
So,
else?
Tim and I basically piggybacked on top of. I'm sorry, I know you hate that word, but sometimes it's just hard to avoid.
Awful. It's such an awful.
So Tim
Piggyback?
picked some of his. He doesn't
Listen,
like.
if
It's a
you've been in the
military.
military,
thing. I
you
hate it.
understand.
Oh.
Back is your nightmare.
I can't do the
So-
military.
Tim started with Andre the Giant.
You have to start with
Yes.
Andre, right?
How do you not start with Andre the Giant, the man who can crush 20 beers and not feel a single thing?
So in one sitting, he drank 156 16-ounce cans
Yeah.
of beer. He
No
was a
exaggeration.
monster.
The cans of beers
Oh.
look so tiny in his hand. That's how giant he was.
He was 7'4" and 550
He was in the
pounds.
Princess Bride. Oh no, did I steal it?
Yeah.
He was.
Fezzik.
Fezzik, yeah. Fezzik, yes.
One of the
Yes.
all-time best movies. He suffered actually from giantism, so that's why he was so big. But so the role was actually written for Andre the Giant. However, it was almost made in the 70s, and they were considering giving it to Schwarzenegger. Then by the time they actually got around to making it, they wanted Andre the Giant, and Schwarzenegger was too expensive, so it worked out. Billy Crystal did My Giant movie
Billy Crystal
years later,
Ball.
and it was loosely based on Andre the Giant. So you know the line where he says, "Have fun storming the castle." Okay,
Of
so
course.
I will say that sometimes to the kids and Josh, my husband, when they're leaving. I'll be like, "Have fun storming the castle." And my husband one time thought that it was something
You didn't know?
that had another meaning. Is there another meaning to this I'm unaware of?
Not that I know. I just know it for Princess
No.
Okay.
Bride. Matt, anything?
That's all I
No,
knew of him too. I
no.
think my husband's just a pervert. Okay. Okay, a body double was used for the scene when Wesley jumps on Fezzik's back because Andre the Giant had severe back issues, and the body double was a whole foot shorter than Andre the Giant.
It's so sad. He was in such bad shape by that point, but he's one of the strongest men who ever lived. But it's like he was in such bad shape physically that they had to have all these stunt doubles and stuff to kind of fill
Yeah.
in for him.
Well, because when
And,
you're that like big, it's like your body's not made to be that
yeah.
big. So
He died so young too, but he was in his early 40s when he was doing this.
but a lot of them, I mean, it sounds silly to compare it to dogs, but like bigger dogs that when they're bred to
Don't
be
live as
bigger,
long.
it's like their organs can't keep up with the size of their body. But yeah, no, it was really sad. And he honestly, everybody who says anything, I mean, that knew him seems like he was genuinely a gentle giant. And I know you recommended watching the HBO documentary. So if you have HBO right now, because of all the movies coming out, check out the
So good.
documentary. And to keep from injuring the horse that Andre the Giant had to be on in the movie, they had to lower him via like a pulley system for like the final scene for him to sit on the horse. So yeah, that's Andre the Giant.
Well, on the same point, the scene when he has to catch a Buttercup at the end too of the movie, and she's so light he couldn't even catch her. They had to have like wires and like that to help him like hold her up because he was in such
Aw.
bad shape. I heard too. So I know it's kind of a bummer, but he's so good in the movie. He's so likable. You really get to see all sides of his personality. That because for most of his run in the company, he was a good guy, even though he's the big scary giant. He's a good guy because he was so nice and personable and stuff. So everybody loved him. It wasn't until he really turned on Hulk Hogan that he was the bad guy, and that's I can go into that later, but that's when he really became.
Hulk Hogan got. Oh man,
see, I
Hulk
didn't
Hogan
even know
body
that.
slammed Andre the Giant.
How dare
Yes.
you do that?
Nobody had ever lifted that giant ass man before.
Hulk did it, and when you hear Hulk tell the story, he says he rips up every muscle in his body, like
I
he had
don't
all
doubt it.
damage. Yeah, it's just like nope,
Aw.
really happens.
All right, so who's Rowdy Roddy Piper? I don't know who that is.
Are you
Oh my
kidding me?
god!
What?
Oh, you've never heard of
Wears
Roddy
the
Piper?
kilt, the leather coat. Have you ever seen Ronda Rousey when she came out? That was like
I've seen Ronda Rousey in the show Entourage.
fuck me, dude. Fuck me,
This is
dude.
gonna be tough. All right,
All
well,
This is
I
why
would
we brought
say
in Tim.
yes. You could argue the four most famous wrestlers from the '80s are Andre the Giant, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, and Macho Man. That's kind of why I listed them,
All right, I know
and the
three out
fact
of the
that
four.
right, and it's not bad. So I was just bringing up Roddy Piper. They Live because Matt, I'm sure you've seen it, right? I hope you've seen They Live.
Yes.
Okay, we're cool.
Yes.
So
Cool.
it's one of the best lines ever in the movie. He says, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum." And then he
Yep.
starts shooting
That's where the
all
line
the
comes from.
all the aliens. Yes,
Wow.
that's him. I mean, it's such a fun movie. It's John Carpenter, and it's total sci-fi, total kind of low budget, 80s kind of vibe. But the fight scene, Lauren, I know it was kind of last minute. You have to watch the fight scene. I'll send you the YouTube of it. It's Roddy Piper fighting Keith David, another actor in the movie. And
Yeah.
because it's such a great example of Roddy being such a great wrestler, it feels so physical. You feel every punch, every hit, and they sell, which is such a huge part of wrestling. They sell every punch as if they're never going to walk again. They're never going to breathe again. And you feel every moment of the fight scene, and it's so unique. And it's like this gem in this middle of this movie that is so like great and fun to watch. But you're like, wow, these guys just did the total physicality that wrestling really does. That's why people like wrestling. It's not about the punch. It's about selling the punch and making you feel
Yes.
for the guy who just got punched. So
In fact, Stone Cold and The
I
Rock
didn't
used to
see
like have a bet where whoever sold the stunner the best would get like a case of beer at the end of the night.
yeah, Rock sold the stunner amazing. He would
That's
flip
why he would
over like
always
multiple
flip
times.
and like go eight. So when you see somebody oversell, it's probably like on purpose.
Yeah, so they're doing it on purpose though. But I just think it's important because Roddy Piper main evented the first ever WrestleMania in a tag team match against Hulk Hogan and someone else you know, Lauren, Mr. T. The actor Mr. T was
Yes,
in
I
the
know
first.
Mr. T.
He was in the first match, main event of WrestleMania ever. Largely because what we're talking about for our next movie. But Roddy Piper is just a legend. You know, he's passed now, but his match at WrestleMania 3 was billed as his retirement match. He had so much hype to it. The crowd was nuts. They were so behind him because he wanted to go be a full-time actor. And it was great that he got They Live. And he tried to do more stuff, but he came back to wrestling a couple years later,
Not
which makes
everybody
what The
makes it in
Rock
the
did.
biz.
Yeah. But that's what makes what The Rock did so important because he didn't have to come back. Everyone else had to come back eventually. Like nobody just has a 20-year run in Hollywood that's, you know, they don't need
Right.
wrestling, but The Rock's done
Here
it.
we
So
are, yeah.
yeah, here we are.
He can act though. I mean, that's the difference. Him and
Right.
John Cena can legit
John
act.
Cena's fucking hilarious.
Well, it's the hustle, you know, it's how hard they work. It's just the perfect storm that they have, you know, to kind of make it in Hollywood, you know, that you need to do. And I would argue for the next movie, I think this is the most important wrestler in a movie ever because it launched Hulk Hogan to be Hulk Hogan. Without this moment,
Hogan's here.
you might not have any modern wrestling from 1980, whatever you want to say, 84, when Hogan started, till now, because Hulk Hogan, that's how people talk about wrestling. It's like before Hulk Hogan and after Hulk Hogan. That's how much he meant to the sport. And the fact that he had to quit the company, he had to quit the WWF because Vince Sr. didn't want him to go because he knew he might make it in Hollywood and he wouldn't have him as a wrestling attraction.
Wait, did
So
it change from WWF to WWE?
It did
What's
because
It
World
did, yes.
Wildlife Federation argued and sued
Oh,
WWF.
yes, they
gotcha.
sued them.
For
So
the
at this
name.
time, yes. So at this time, it was WWF, but yeah, I think it changed in 2001, 2002. I think it had changed because
Okay.
of the lawsuit from WWE. So yeah, Hulk Hogan, and after this movie, Rocky 3 was a huge hit. Hulk Hogan skyrocketed. He plays Thunder Lips. It's the ultimate male against the ultimate meatball. How do you not love that, you know? And they're doing it for charity. And Mickey's like, no one would do this much for charity. And Rocky's like, Bob Hope would. And Mickey's like, yeah, Bob Hope would. And Hulk is just giant in this, and he beats up Stallone for real because Stallone wanted it to look good, and he had a lot of injuries and stuff. But this made Hulk Hogan. And after this movie, when he finally went back to WWF, that's when they launched everything about Hulkamania that people know and still know today. And it's like that would have happened without
American
Rocky.
hero, man. This
Yeah.
is like Hulk Hogan came out with waving the American flag and
Yeah. And it wouldn't have happened without Rocky 3. You know, that's the amazing thing. It's a small scene, but for the mainstream audience and from getting the kids and the families into wrestling, because before this, wrestling was all about old guys and smoking cigars and,
yeah,
you know,
it
being
wasn't
angry.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hulk made it, you know, for families and acceptable. And the fact that, yeah, like I was saying, he main evented the first WrestleMania with Mr. T. And fun fact, he still lives nearby me in Clearwater, Florida. I've taken many pictures with Hulk. He's super nice, and my friends and stuff. I think it's awesome
Super
that
nice, but also kind of racist.
I know. He's apologized. Yeah, he's the same as the Jungle Cruise. He's less racist than he was, right? But
He used to be he's
Yeah.
he
No,
cleaned up
it's
his act. He
terrible.
went to a couple trainings.
yeah. But I'll tell you, as a kid of the '80s, I was the perfect age for Hulk Hogan hitting when he hit. And then, like you talked about the '90s and Stone Cold and Austin, I was a teenager and into my 20s. So I was the perfect age for the Attitude Era. So that's
man, I was
why
like
I'm
10.
yeah. I'm so glad I was born when I was to have that timeline
Well,
for
dude, like it's when you think of like Hulk out, you don't think of Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. You think of Hulk Hogan, right? And
Oh, I
it
do.
was
I think it's
anytime
Incredible
you
Hulk.
see Hulk Hogan, he would be getting hit, and then like, or drop his arm, but then before you get to
before
three, he
start
stops
shaking.
and he starts shaking and he's looking
The
around
best.
wild eyes. He's like, the crowd's going nuts, and he's like, and then you just knew Hulkamania was there, brother.
Awesome. So that was my childhood. Yes, WrestleMania. All those WrestleManias with Hulk Hogan as the main event was my childhood.
When you told me though to watch the scene in Rocky with the Hulk, I was like, oh, I didn't know they had it. And I'm like, does he mean like Lou Ferrigno? Did he make an appearance in it?
Okay,
And it was
fun fact.
funny.
Yeah.
No, it's
No.
funny when I was stopped at the comic book shop earlier because my comic book guy Al, he's mentioned wrestling and he's big into wrestling, and we're recording a thing on our podcast tonight because we follow each other on Instagram and everything, and I've told him about the podcast before. I'm like, they're talking about wrestling, and I told him that story, and oh yeah, he should be on here, not me.
No, like wrestling.
No,
But
you're doing great. And it's fun because we want to tell these stories to you because me and Matt know all the stories, so it's not fun for us.
this is how you
tell
get
each other.
educated, though, you know?
Yes, that's how you learn.
Yep.
Well, the next one you can take, Lauren, because you did some research on that one, right? For
Oh yes,
Randy
and
Savage?
Josh, my husband, made me watch some of this earlier, and he is hard. So Josh was actually into wrestling when he was young, and then it was funny because he goes, by the time I was done with it, Matt probably wasn't even born. Is what he said this morning. 'Cause he
Matt's
was
just born
making
today.
me-
Guys, I
making
was
me
born in
watch-
1990. Jesus Christ. I wasn't born like in the year 2005.
Dude, I had a 2-year-old in 2005. Let's not get crazy.
Well, that's
here.
your own
Okay.
fault. I was 15 living my best
That's
life.
your own fault.
It's not just my fault. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So Randy
You could have
Savage.
fell down the stairs.
The Macho Man featured on my shirts.
I
Yes,
didn't
that
have
Randy Savage.
stairs.
Oh, yeah, brother. You might remember
Biggest.
him from the
Slim Jim commercials. You saw the Slim Jim
Stop
commercials.
into a
Lauren, come
Slim
on.
Jim.
I did. I have seen a Slim Jim commercials, and now I'm literally putting this together as I'm pouring this beer that was him.
Bonesaw,
Perfect.
you're trapped in here with me. We also
You're
I
going
had-
nowhere.
You're going nowhere. You might remember
That's a
him
good
from a
Randy.
little known movie called Spider-Man, which came out with Tobey Maguire. And
2002.
when
And I have-
Spider-Man's finding himself.
I mentioned this scene. So the fight where Spider-Man is trying to make money and he goes to the cage ring and he's going to fight this wrestler guy. And he's like, oh, nice costume. Did your husband make that? Wow.
Yeah,
That
didn't
joke
Guys,
age
we
went
well.
can't
well.
say that. Okay?
No,
we
can't
can't say
exist.
that.
And that's Randy Savage. So, and I've said this on
Rest
this
in
podcast
peace.
because okay, so I thought he had passed because I remember Tim being upset when he passed.
He
Didn't he
did.
wrap his car around
Yes,
a tree?
Tim was very upset, and he lived in Clearwater. I drove out to his crash site like the next day because it was about 40 minutes from me.
I thought
And,
so because when
yeah.
I said it to Josh,
He had a heart
looked
attack,
getting
and then his
mad.
car crashed into a tree, and I went to the site, and there was a couple of like stuff there. No, I was super sad. He's one of my favorites. That's why I have the shirt. Like I said, the 80s, Macho Man and Hulk were the 80s, you know?
Watch a Macho Man, please. If there's nothing
Right.
else you take from this, if you're still even here, go
You're still
watch.
here.
I'm still here. Why
Macho-
wouldn't I be here?
Go watch a Macho Man Randy Savage promo, and
Yes.
that guy had it, dude. Oh my god.
He was intense. He
did-
was
Ooh yeah.
And I did
listen
watch
here.
the video you sent about the behind the scenes on Spider-Man, and he's like,
right.
"Oh, I'm doing this because I feel it, and I was bonesaw this morning." And I was
Yeah.
talking to that about as soon as I mentioned that scene at my comic book shop this morning, like 3 of the dudes were like, "Bonesaw."
Yes, see?
Well, because it was so huge. Because
Contagious.
yeah, I mean, he was huge in the 80s and 90s. But then, you know, obviously this is later than that. But for wrestling, like I said, it's all about being in the mainstream. Nothing was bigger than that first Spider-Man movie in 200002.
Yeah,
I even
it
found
actually
that-
was delayed because they had the Twin Towers.
I remember,
the
yeah,
movie,
Oh,
and
there
so
was
they
a
had to
scene
delay it. There was a scene
where
where they were,
a trailer,
Yeah.
yeah. A
They
chopper,
said-
I think, was stuck between the
yeah,
towers.
they had
right?
to go ahead
Yeah.
and they reshot it. So
Yeah. It's crazy.
Fun
But
fact,
I remember too, that was the biggest opening weekend ever at the time. So it was like the most mainstream you could get. Macho Man had a big part. It was pretty huge for wrestling just to have
yeah,
somebody
it was
in the big
because
movie.
you don't really like you had these wrestlers who were like in movies, but up until this point, you never had a true movie star born from
Right.
wrestling until
And to be in the biggest movie, yeah, in the world.
Yeah,
you know.
I feel like The Rock was really the first wrestler who became a true movie star, in my
Right.
opinion, anyways. And then the next one would obviously be John Cena. But we have Stone Cold, who played in I can't remember the name of the movie all of a sudden.
The Expendables.
Well, there was
You
the
see that?
Expendables. No,
Yeah.
but there was also the one where it was the play off the Japanese film where like they went to the island as prisoners.
Oh right. The something. It's the something.
There's something, so like Stone Cold was in that as like the good guy beating everybody's ass, and so that was big because you're seeing a wrestler in this movie that was out there. I'm looking it up right now.
So am I, because it's gonna bother me until I
It
figure it
is.
out.
It is.
The
It
something.
was the something, but it's a play off of. It was a play off of a Japanese film.
Condemned, right?
The Condemned. Yes, and so it's about a bunch of
I didn't find it.
prisoners that get put on the island. People, that's a whole big show.
Fighting to the death. Yeah, it was fighting to the
Yeah.
death type of thing.
And
yeah.
it was a play off of a Japanese film where students get put on the island and they all have to kind of fight to the death. So you mean at that point,
so
but
it's like that. What is that show called or that movie called?
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
kind of, yeah, but with prisoners and things of nature. So
Which was a lot like The Running Man, which starred Jesse Ventura. So
Yes.
we're bringing it back. full
Running
circle.
Man wasn't terrible. I hated Hunger Games.
Yeah, Running Man was
Hunger Games. I read the books. I'm not gonna get in Hunger Games. I'll be.
I don't like the
I
idea
do
of
have
kids
things to
killing
say.
kids.
Yeah, killing kids.
On that, but I feel like your Katniss Everdeen, she was just kind of whiny the whole time. Like she just wasn't the right hero. Anyways,
Let's move it along.
So then I would argue. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go. I was just gonna move into our next wrestler.
Yeah. I mean,
Dave
basically, if you start in Avengers Endgame and you're in the final battle and you're one of the Avengers that assembled, you have to be in this list. It's the biggest movie of all time.
Not even
It's
that,
the greatest.
but he played in Blade Runner. As
He did,
was,
yes.
That's really when you saw his acting chops because he was great
Right.
in Blade
He's
Runner.
a Superman.
He's a Bond villain.
Yes, he's a
Smallville.
Bond villain.
He's a Bond villain.
In Stuber as
Inspector,
well.
right? Yeah. Mhm.
Yep, he's in Stuber, and he's also he has some serious acting chops. And so if you're not giving Dave
Did we
Bautista,
say Dave Batista? Or, okay, I was like,
I
did we
kinda
even say
did,
his
but-
name, or did we just
We didn't
start
say it.
talking
Sorry,
about
we just talked
Okay.
over it.
if you're not
wasn't
giving
sure.
Dave Bautista,
Dave Batista, yes.
the Drax the
Drax the
Destroyer,
Destroyer.
the credit he deserves. Like, this is a dude who goes to bat for the people he loves. Like when you saw James Gunn get fired, he really went to bat for James Gunn.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Well, he got him a Drax the Destroyer lunchbox, and he collects lunchboxes.
well, so apparently, Dave Bautista collects vintage lunch boxes. and
He
his
does, yeah.
favorite
He
Is
He
the
does.
Green
His
Hornet
favorite one is a Green Hornet. Yes.
All right, he played a
All right, but
Superman
guys,
villain in Smallville.
That's a fun fact. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't know that
I
either.
just
Who
said
put that there?
Okay. I
But
did.
seriously, was that not one of the loudest laughs ever in like Guardians in the theater? The first time you saw it, like,
you must be so
Why is
embarrassed.
Gamora- oh, yeah, yes.
Drax stole the show. He stole the show. He stole the
Does.
show.
Nothing goes over
Well, I
my
mean,
head, for I am too
Yeah,
tall.
I was just gonna say that you can't.
I'm
say
too
that
fast.
metaphor
I say
to
that
him,
line
yeah.
all the time as a very
Yeah.
tall man myself. I'm like,
No, he's too quick.
no, he
He's
says
too
I'm
quick,
too.
you
I thought he
catch it.
says I'm too tall.
No,
Doesn't
he's
he?
too fast. He would catch it. Like nothing goes over his head.
I'm such a fool. Thank you.
Because he's not that tall.
Because I always say I'm too tall. Nothing would go over my head, and I was thinking that was Drax. Now this is just
He's tall, but like Groot is taller, so that's why it
Yeah.
would,
yeah, he's a fucking tree.
he is a tree.
He's literally a
Um,
tree. Yeah.
And a personal fun fact: he lives in Tampa as well, Dave Batista. But somehow he's managed to avoid me, where most other wrestlers have not.
Tim's hiding
managed to
behind
avoid me.
trees, like I'll find.
Yeah, he's like Jericho, Hogan,
fucking
Drew
Jericho,
McIntyre.
Fozzy. Oh boy.
So it's like, yeah, he's just a great actor, and he started wrestling
Yes.
late too. And it's great that he's had a career, and he's gonna, be doing so much more stuff. But
He
Yeah, I
got
mean,
so wronged in WWE as well. He did by Triple H and them. Like he did.
it was
get
tough. Yeah.
wronged. And so he was supposed to be in the Hall of Fame this year, actually, but they offered. He kind of was like, I want to, be there.
He wants the fans there. He said,
He
is
wants the
what he
fans
said.
there. So next year, if there are fans, he'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Which makes sense because I mean that's more about
Yeah.
saying thank you and stuff. So yeah, I think that's
It
pretty
is, and he seems like such a genuine human being that I will root for him, and I will watch any movie he's in,
Right.
based off of how he presents himself. And then
cool. And same thing like we're saying about the Rock and stuff. He grew up really tough streets in DC. He grew up really poor,
Yeah.
Batista. So to see where he's at now, like when you just know more of his
Yeah.
backstory, you're just like, wow, like
He
these
said
guys.
like people died in his front yard or something.
yeah,
But
DC's
it was
rough,
terrible.
man. But he's a great actor. I mean, his range. Just go watch Blade Runner, go watch Drax. Any movie he's in, you see his range, and so he's really good in that. And
Absolutely.
we also have one last wrestler that we'll talk about here. And the Invisible Man himself.
And you can't see him now. Lauren, John Cena does this because it says you can't see
If
him, so that's
there
why there's all
is-
these memes. that are like,
Hey,
oh, I don't see anybody
my
next to
time
this
is
person.
now. Like if there's one thing I always say, and if there's one song I always listen to while I'm like shooting hoops and listen to music, it's John Cena's intro music. Hit the trumpets. Boop,
Gets
boop,
it
doop,
fired up.
boop. What's those trumpets hit though? Like you're fired up, man. Like,
Right.
and he
But
was the
Lauren, the
doctor
problem
of
is the fans took his
thugonomics.
theme song because he has trumpets going, dun, 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 and the fans, they wanted to boo him because he's wins so much. So they changed it
Yeah.
to John Cena
Well, it's
sucks.
funny because they
John
wanted to
Cena
hate John
sucks.
Cena, but really now they've kind of done a 180 on John
Right.
Cena because
It's one of those like
he was a
you want to
company
boo him
guy.
when he's not around. Yeah.
Yeah, he
He's
was. It's like Kurt Angle, you suck, but they
right.
sing it more of out of endearment now.
Endearment that they suck.
Yeah,
But
but
because at some
John
point
Cena,
you're either a good guy or a bad guy. So the fans just want to put you wherever they want you.
John Cena is a company guy through and through. Like he was
Totally.
a guy who bled WWE, and like you said, like he hated The Rock. They had a feud, but then he also now is in Hollywood. Like he was in Blockers. He was in he's Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad / TV show. He's in so many movies, and he's a great, like, this is another dude who has some comedic chops.
Well, and he knows too that The Rock opened up everyone's eyes to wrestlers maybe be able to do more because everybody
Oh
wants to
yeah,
find the next Rock, like that's what the
exactly.
studios want. So, yeah, it's a huge part. And I just had a note there. I once bothered him at a Tampa Bay Rays game, John Cena. If I was cool, I'm not cool, but if I was cool, he was about 10 seats to my right, right?
Yeah,
What should I do? I should go over, sit. I should be quiet. I should be like,
I'm
"Hey, John, I'm
surprised
a
you could
big
see
fan."
him.
Yeah, yeah. But
Oh no,
instead,
that's fun.
I stand up and I point. And I'm like, "Hey, everybody! It's John Cena!" And then all the place starts going. I know.
Why did he just look at you like you are the
He
worst
was
human?
pissed. He was pissed. I'm not gonna lie, because he's like,
You
"Oh
blew.
fuck."
Oh
I
my
blew up his spot, but I was
dude.
genuinely surprised to see him. But all the kids were going nuts. Like all the dads were going nuts.
He's
Nobody
granted
was watching the
more
game
Make a
anymore
Wish than anybody else in
than
history.
anyone ever.
He's
Yeah.
a great dude,
He's a
genuinely.
super nice guy.
But I
So
have also watched him on the Bella's TV show because my wife
yes,
watches it. He seems like a really, like, I don't know, that may have some stuff going on. He's from Newburyport, Massachusetts, by the way, which is a beautiful town. I've driven through there many times. They have a statue of him, and it's a fishing town kind of on the North Shore. But yeah, he ate like 50 something. They're not churros, but there's like something he eats in Suicide Squad, and to get the cut right, he ate like 50 something of them.
wow. And he probably
I'll
could.
fix it next week in our We Fucked Up
Right.
because I'm gonna be
See,
honest, I'm
that's
not.
why it's a great thing.
Yeah, but
It
the
is.
So
Red
he
Band trailer
voiced.
was great that he was in, right? Did you see the Red Band trailer for
Yeah, I just
Suicide
watched
Squad?
that.
Yeah.
Apparently, the word on the street is if you go see Godzilla versus Kong in theaters, you get a new Suicide Squad trailer. So I will report
Really
back next week
Mm.
because I'm seeing it
interesting.
in theaters. But yeah, he's playing Peacemaker in the new series. And then James Gunn, and he's a great dude. He, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else
All
we
right.
can say
Yeah.
about him.
Well, I had seen him in a bunch of things, and I'm listening to you guys. I'm like, why am I so familiar with him? So just went to his IMDb page. He's in Daddy's Home. He's in
Yeah,
Trainwreck.
that's what it was.
He's
Mhm.
in Parks and Rec. He's part of the Johnny Karate Super Awesome Musical
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Explosion
Johnny
Show.
Karate. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's in a lot of. He had a lot of
Yeah.
minor roles. So now he's getting bigger things like Blockers and whatnot. But he even voiced the Hulk in a video game. But yeah, so I mean that makes sense because I've been seeing little glimpses of him and on a whole bunch of stuff.
But
And now he's finally getting his
seriously,
role.
he has
Commercials and stuff too.
pretty
Yeah.
great. He's funny. He is a funny actor. I'll give him that. Like The Rock is great at playing like the
And
badass kind of
Bumblebee.
action hero.
Yes, she started Bumblebee.
He
Yeah.
is in Bumblebee, yes. But John Cena is really great at the comedic role, I feel like.
Now, what's funny is John Cena was famous for wrestling, but he wasn't known for being a good wrestler, which is funny because I think that was some of the
Well,
backlash that the
everybody was
fans
like,
got.
"Oh, John Cena again,
Right.
John Cena again." But
Right.
I
Which
thought
is
for
tough
sure,
because the company wants to push John Cena because
yeah,
he's the face, he's the hardest working
just like
guy, he's the
Roman
most loyal.
Reigns.
Yes, but the fans always have that backlash where it's like
It's John
we
Cena
want
again.
new, yeah, we want new, but it's like it's all Vince McMahon's
Fun
vision, and
fact,
yeah,
he
you wanted John
wasn't going
Cena.
to make it in the WWE. He was like the doctor of thugonomics. He has a rap album actually, and he wasn't
He
going to
does.
make it unless he changed up his character. And
It's a
so that's
rap
kind of how
album?
he does.
Yeah,
Dr. Thunder.
his first gimmick was more of a rapper, so
He was
they
he
actually
was like
the
that
Dr.
rapper
Duke-
from New York City is kind of how he plays. So he would always come with like the New York hat, the Yankees hat. That's how he has the jorts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he'd always have like
Well,
an oversized shirt.
he actually
jersey.
spent money to buy different jerseys for every city they were touring in. And people were like, "Why are you spending all this money on wardrobe? You're never gonna last here. Like, you should be saving your money, you know." But now, 15 years later, he's one of the biggest stars of all.
And it's John Cena. Like, I'm surprised they haven't tied him with Ric Flair's title reigns yet. It's at 17.
He is tied at 16 right now. He's tied at 16, but the record is 17.
I thought for sure they would have given him 17. So maybe when he officially, because he hasn't officially retired from wrestling yet.
No, he's still around. But the problem is he's shooting in Canada right now for the Peacemaker series. But Canada, you can't fly back to America and back and forth because of COVID. So Cena's not able to go to WrestleMania, which is unless he's using that as a thing, you know, unless he's using that as a catch. But
he'll be. Yeah, I think he'll finish it up. But we have talked our ears off. We could talk all night. This could be like a like WrestleMania 2-part event.
It's been so much fun, guys. It's been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me here. I've been talking your ears off, but
really appreciate you coming on, talking with us. Hopefully people got something out of this, which is wrestling is fun regardless. And there's a lot of great actors who are wrestlers at one point, and they're athletes through and through, and they make great action stars. So with that said, does anybody have any parting shots they would like to partake in?
Cheers.
I don't.
Nothing.
I'd like to say what we're gonna do next week, but we keep changing shit up. So.
And I'll just say, as a friend of Lauren, it's just great to catch up with Lauren. I haven't talked to Lauren like in a long time like this. So
I know.
It's just fun.
Get to talk to Lauren like once a week.
And I'm kind of jealous because like I have lots of friends that have common interests, but you don't get to set time aside or like, no, we're going to talk about everything we watched and everything we like.
Lauren and I talk business, I feel like, more than we actually get to like
we talk
business. Fun stuff. Yeah.
It's like 7 a.m. my time. I'm like, all right, what's happening this week? And it's more planning versus like, hey, we're actually homies. It's happening. Yeah.
But it's so fun. It's so fun seeing you guys talk about this. Like I've enjoyed all the shows I've seen. They're always, I mean, I'm a big fan of Star Wars and Marvel and everything else we taled about, obviously. So it's like, it's right in my wheelhouse.
Big May the 4th episode. So
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Especially because in my group of friends, I don't have too many friends that I've ever been able to talk about geeky stuff. So so it's been nice to have Matt to be able to do that. But Tim was one of those few people I could do that with. So, but yeah,
cheers.
Who knows what we'll do next week?
We'll
see.
I'll post it on the Twitter. Make sure you follow us, Geek Hops Twitter and Hops Geek News on Instagram. Appreciate y'all for hanging out. May the odds be in our favor for WrestleMania weekend. A lot of great things from NXT. And just it's gonna be great. So
where's your beach ball? Show up the beach ball.
Snap into a WrestleMania, brother. And with that said, cheers, brothers.
Awesome.
Cheers,
Peace.
robots.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.